Hey, welcome to the first episode of Hidden Indie Gems, where we embark on a journey into the vibrant world of indie gaming. Join me as we delve into the creative minds behind current and future indie games, uncovering what sets each one apart and makes it truly extraordinary. I had the pleasure of talking with Mr. Sinclair Ross, the solo developer of the upcoming title Calamity at Starbase 349. In this game, you get to immerse yourself and play with your friends in an epic online multiplayer sim, where you'll assume the role of a crew member navigating the boundless expanse of space in a setting reminiscent of the beloved Star Trek universe. Now, this podcast has no sponsors and is 100% audience funded. If you want to support my creative work, you can buy me a coffee using the link in the description. Every dollar makes a huge difference. Thank you, and enjoy the show. Can you tell me a little bit about how you started in game development?
I started in game development was back in high school. So in Visual Basic, making crappy wee clones of. Did you ever play the Impossible Quiz?
No.
It was this great wee flash game that was just bonkers. It was the absolute daft. So I made my own wee versions of that in Visual Basic, and then decided it'd be pretty cool to do this for a living. So went to college and went to uni in Aberdeen. And just kind of went from there.
So I know this, but can you tell people what inspired you to create the game?
So Calamity at Starbase 349 is a online role-playing immersive sim where you and your friends play out an episode of Star Trek together. I've just always wanted to play a game where you could say stuff like, if we reroute power from the phaser banks through the deflector shield, we can create an inverse current impulse and maybe escape the gravitational pull of the black hole. But have that nonsense Star Trek technobabble actually mean something.
So people are just you have a server up, people can join in and create their own character?
Exactly that, yeah. So at the moment, actually I'm scheduled to have my first proper online test at the end of the month with some guys from work. You can, if you want to, you can make your own server. You just design your own ship in the game's level editor, spin it up, invite your friends, and then just go away, do something together.
So it's more of like a social game, and then you get to have fun, being in this kind of world, this Star Trek world.
Yeah, exactly that. Whenever I'm thinking of a new mechanic or a new role I want in the game, it's always filtered through how does this make people talk to one another? One of the roles in the game that I'm really excited about is the doctor. You have all your diagnostic equipment and you can scan the people and you can figure out what's wrong with them. Or even having the engineers, for example. The way the game is structured is you have a captain, then you have your ops crew, and then you have your engineers and your medical, but all those divisions have their own section heads. So perhaps you're the chief engineer, right? Because you are an excellent engineer. You know the ship backwards and forwards. So you have your two guys. You have me working for you, and maybe Elizabeth, she's a wee bit older. We're your wee engineers, and you show us the ropes. You tell us, because you're more experienced, you know what's going on. You can talk to us. You can teach us how the game works. And it's just all about bringing people and kind of forcing them to talk to each other almost.
Can you tell me a little bit or walk me through kind of the game from conception to where it is now? So where did the ideas start? How long you've been working on this?
Gosh, so it started about 7 years ago. And I've just moved to Manchester, and I was living in a hostel. I had all these mates in the hostel. We were really tight, right? But then they'd move away, and a new group of guys would come in, and it'd be a little bit less, it'd be a little bit sadder. And then once I was finally at the hostel, I was in a building with 1,000 people, but I didn't know any of them. It was quite lonely. So the game was originally this just absolute depression simulator where it was you were the Calamity at Starbase 349 was the result of this Lovecraftian monster that kind of gets into people's heads and just makes them sad and then turns them into monsters. and you as the it was originally a single player game, and all the other characters they'd be NPCs, like AI controlled, and your job was primarily to kind of keep everyone together, like socially, and it was always a social game. But then I was making that for ages, and then I realized, oh, wait, I don't want to do this depression game anymore. Want to be happy, and I want people to be happy playing it. So I replaced the AI characters with human characters. And fortunately, being a systems-driven game, that transition was actually fairly easy.
Well, to take us in a different direction, can you tell me? We've talked a little bit about it already. Can you tell me a little bit more about the game's like mechanics, um, character creation, different roles? You mentioned a few different roles, that kind of thing. How do you win? That's what I want to know.
You win if you have fun.
Oh, come on.
Well, the game structure is the idea is you play, say, a 45-minute episode of Calamity Starbase 349, and the captain will be given some kind of objective, like go chart this nebula, go deliver these supplies, something kind of, basic. And what I love about it is when you say it out loud, all the game systems sound quite mundane, but you're doing things like one of the roles would be a atmospheric technician, and your job is to go around the ship and just making sure the oxygen balance is right, the pressure and temperature, and all these things are working, and all the life support systems on the ship are functioning properly. You have the kind of like power engineers, and their job is to maintain the warp reactor or the crystal core in my game, and make sure all the energy is being piped around the ship properly. And then as you go higher up towards ops, the game becomes more, I guess, social and less mechanics driven. When you first start off, I think the first role a player would be the humble janitor, and your job is to run around and just make sure that the place is clean, that light bulbs are working, just all those basic things to kind of introduce you to how the game works, and then you move up the ladder until you know the game so well that you can just play a more, role-playing type role. Like the captain would be purely role-playing, if that makes sense.
I like that. It's like a slow transition from learning the mechanics of the game by doing simple roles like being the janitor or things like that, and then it eases you into sort of what the point of the game is, which is to have this more open-ended, interactive, social experience. Does that sound about right?
Oh yeah, that's absolutely right. Actually, a big inspiration for me has been games like Dwarf Fortress and RimWorld. I read Tynan Sylvester, the guy who made RimWorld, read his book, and he describes RimWorld as less of a game and more an engine of experiences. You put time into it, and stories fall out the other end. And I'm hoping that Calamity will do the same.
What are some of your kind of hopes and dreams for the game, like release dates maybe, or if you don't want to talk about that, platforms or any of that kind of stuff?
See, that's the thing. Because it's like a multiplayer game and I'm a very unknown person, I've always known I was just going to release the game for free and see what happens, As for release dates, it's probably a good couple of years yet. So I decided to make pretty much everything myself, from scratch. I got SDL, that gave me a OpenGL window, and after that, everything's just been me. So it's one of my goals when I was starting out is I wanted to be just like a god tier programmer, and building your own engine. I'm pretty good now, but I think my problem, unlike you, I get in the weeds is where I live, so just everything takes. I will spend hours trying to just get rid of make a block of code just 1 or 2 lines short. That'll be why it's taken 7 years off.
So I guess the last question is just, how can people learn more about the game? Where can they follow you? I know you have that Instagram page. Is there anything else?
Yeah, there's Calamity at Starbase349.com, where you can download the current build of the game, what it is. Yeah, and then that has a link to all the socials I use, which is currently just the Instagram. But yeah, if anyone's interested, please feel free. If anyone wants to give me a share, welcome to.
That's it, man. That's all I got. Thank you so much for making time.
Yeah, this has been cool.
Hey, thank you so much for listening. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast so that you don't miss a single episode. Leave a review, share with your friends. See you next time.